Hi, I'm Lott, and this is Quarantine Campfire. So, if you're listening to the podcast, you may be hearing something different. If you're watching the video, this may look pretty brand new, and that's because I upgraded. Just kidding, the power went out of my house. This is my office. But this episode is a couple of firsts. The first one being, first of those firsts, is this is the first episode of Quarantine Campfire that is being recorded on video so that now you can watch on YouTube for all of my current listeners. And then the second first is this is the first podcast episode without a script. So there's going to be a lot of stammering, a lot of inconsistencies. Hopefully nothing else, but let's get started. I actually wanted to chat today a little bit about the importance of education and how important it is to learn. Obviously being a college student, that's kind of biased, especially right now since college isn't as popular as it's been in the past. But I think that there's something to be said for learning in the sense that, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you don't get to stop learning. And I think that's a really important distinction between the two. Like, college just so happens to be a place where you get to, put aside time to learn, and you get to put aside time to specialize in a certain field of experience. So I think that's a pretty important distinction. But I don't know. It's just been fascinating for me because I originally hated college. I kind of assumed that the best that it was good for was for networking and job credentials, as a lot of people do. A lot of people do think that. But then after my gap year and, started taking like very, very high end philosophy classes, I started realizing that I really enjoyed kind of that experience of learning something new and being able to apply it and knowing what you can do with that knowledge and trying to figure that part out as well. So I started like applying for stuff like crazy, stuff that wasn't going to um, limit me in the same way that college was, in a sense. Like I like after I graduate, I still want to keep doing online classes and online courses, and that's kind of looking like the case right now. But that kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk about today. For Christmas last year, my parents got me like a year's access to Masterclass. It's that God, what is it? It's basically where a huge slew of celebrities teach their field through like an online video course. So it's like there's like Martin Scorsese has one on there that teaches people filmmaking, and Ron Howard has one on directing, and Neil Gaiman's got one on storytelling, and Gordon Ramsay has like two on cooking or something like that. And so about a month ago, Tan France, the stylist from Queer Eye, just came out with a class called Style for Everyone. And that's been a really fascinating experience for me because it started making me realize a lot of stuff that I kind of pushed down in a sense. So it specifically reminded me of when I was in middle school. So anybody who knows me knows that middle school was a really, really weird time for me, to kind of say the least, because it was like a mixture of like my parents' divorce and a really, really excessive bullying. And so I remember something that I always got frustrated by was the fact that one of the things that they always did was they always called me like super, super homophobic slurs, even though I'm heterosexual, I'm straight. So there was a lot that kind of went into that where I didn't understand why they would call me those things if I wasn't those things. And and it was just one of those things where like the more I fought back, the bigger the fire got. But it was small stuff like the fact that I went by Mikey was an indication that I was gay, according to them. And so anyways, that's just precursor upon precursor. So the private school that I went to, we all had to wear uniforms, and it was always like, I don't know, they were weird color. It was like burgundy, navy, white, and khakis. Like that's all we were allowed to wear. But sometimes we would get like a slip of paper that was like a free dress day or something like that, where if you showed that to one of the deans, um, when you came in that day, you could wear whatever you want as long as it was, relatively modest. And so I'm sure it was my mom who got me this because she's the one who made sure that I stayed in fashion uh, and in style. But I remember having a purple flannel shirt, and it was kind of a weird fabric. It wasn't like this. It was a little bit thicker. I wonder if it was cotton. Anyways, I loved this shirt because I at the time I felt like there was nothing like it. Like I had never seen a purple shirt before, especially purple flannel. And I thought how cool it would be if I could wear purple because no one else wears purple. Like I could rock that, and I love like muted colors. I mean, you can tell if you're watching the video, like, I'm wearing like all these different shades of blue, and I don't I'm not afraid to wear, to wear multiple things to the point where it gets kind of tacky. But I remember I got one of those free dress slips, and I got so excited because I was like, dude, I'm gonna wear the flannel. It's gonna look awesome. Again, like I'm gonna rock it. And so I can't remember what I wore. What else I wore? I think I wore like Chucks and like skinny jeans back when I when I could wear skinny jeans, before I started weightlifting. And so, I wore that. I got my hair done. I was so excited to just look good. To just have like some style that I was excited about. So I walk in. I give the dean, my slip of paper. I walk into the lockers. Everybody's there, and everybody just bursts out laughing because according to them, only insert homophobic slurs wear purple. And I got so mad that when I got home, I swapped into a completely different shirt. I chucked the flannel in the back of the closet, and I never wore it again. In fact, I think the next time my mom and I were going through my closet just to see what I grew out of, I think that was like one of the first ones to go. And I started realizing that there was actually a lot of cases like that. So it wasn't just the purple flannel, but it was a lot of situations where, I got crapped on because my sense of style apparently was too gay. Like I remember like I stopped wearing Toms in middle school, and I love Toms. I stopped wearing Toms in middle school. Like I had a pair of Converse sneakers that apparently were too light of a blue, so that everybody thought I wore women's shoes. And so I put those shoes away. I put those shoes aside, and and so I'm starting to realize, now like I'm a lot more confident in what I wear. But I'm noticing now, I mean, as you can tell with the blue, I don't really branch out and I don't really try things anymore, even though lately, like I've been wanting like crazy to just try and to experiment. And so, I think Tan France's masterclass was really well timed, and so I finished up, the masterclass that I was on before, which was Scorsese's, and then so I started taking his, and I'm not even halfway through. I think maybe I'm a third of the way through, and it's honestly relieving to kind of to know what the idea of style is. And it's funny because Tan actually references that in one of his very first lessons. So he talks about how a lot of straight men are afraid to have style or to be stylish because they think they'll get chastised for being gay. And I love it because Tan's like, first off, that's a wonderful compliment. Second off, and he just, and he went into it. And, there's there was a lot of truth that he was saying, in the sense that, style makes you more confident, because you put effort into the way you look, and you put effort into the way that you present yourself to the world. But at the same time, it's really important to have that knowledge. Like, and he talks about like the stuff that he would never wear, or the stuff that he thought would never come back, like, like jelly shoes and boot cut jeans, all those things. That's just not his style. Even though he bans jelly shoes completely, but it's the idea of, you can design your life the way you want it to. You just need to be educated so that you know what you want. And and I'm starting to see that now too with a lot of social climates, and it's strange. Like, I'm finally at the age now where I am old enough to vote, and I'm old enough to really take it seriously. Because the first time that I was able to vote was back in 2016, and I didn't really know better. I didn't really care very much, but now with all the stuff that I know, I kind of came to the conclusion where it's like, listen, I don't care. I don't care what your choice is. That's the cool thing about this country. You get to choose. If you want to choose to make a pig a president, like an animal pig, I'm not calling anyone a pig, but like an actual zoological pig, then vote for the damn pig. But as a result of that, I hope to assume that you know the policies of all the other candidates. Like, if I don't like a candidate at all, but someone who's talking to me can explain in very, very good detail why they chose that person and why they didn't choose another person, I don't have to agree with them to respect and appreciate the fact that they did their research and that they did their job. Like, it's another reason why, it's the same thing with religion or style or your college degree, or whether or not the dress is black and blue or white and gold. Remember that thing? At the end of the day, like, you do you. Like, if you want to choose something, good on you. But I expect the education to kind of come with it. It's one thing to be raised in something, but then finally, when you kind of get to my age, like early to mid 20s, I think this is the age where you really need to figure stuff out. And it's just funny because I don't know why this popped in my head too, but last year I really had this existential crisis because I was going to go visit a couple of buddies of mine up in Salt Lake. We were going to go watch Joker, and I realized that as I was driving up, my plan was to graduate college, move to Salt Lake City, and that's it. Like, my plan was over in 2.5 hours, 3 with traffic. And so I started getting really terrified about that. And so I started asking people around, were you ready to graduate college when you did? Were you ready to start your life when you did? And I asked, hopefully, if not, I'll have to go back and try again. But I asked every member of my family, and now I'm starting to ask some of my professors, like, were you ready to start your life when you did? And, only one person said that they were ready. But everybody else has almost said the same thing. It's almost like it's a universal answer. And the answer is they were not ready at all. And they're kind of surprised by the fact that they expect someone in my age group to have everything together by the time they graduate. That's the universal concept. And that's really relieving, because to me, that tells me that that's just so much more time to learn and to do your research. I think you can tell the difference between like a 35-year-old who spent his 20s really trying to figure out what he was wanting to do versus a 35-year-old who just took something to be safe. And I'm not saying that they're stupider for it. I'm just saying I feel like you see a lot more untapped potential in someone like that. Whereas, the someone who kind of went on a journey after they did like academic obligations and who really tried to figure out who they were, they're so different of people. And I think that comes down to choosing to constantly be learning and choosing to develop a street education, not just getting the bachelor's degree and then debating whether or not you're going to get a master's or even a doctorate. If that's the case, good on you. But, another part of it is too, you just need to know yourself, and you need to learn how you function. So, and because more often than not, if you don't learn, then you don't try stuff that you thought was cool. You just leave that on the table. You don't get to, if you don't learn, you don't get to go back to the purple flannel shirt. You don't get to remember why you enjoyed it, and you don't get to combine your joy for it with your knowledge and figure out how you're going to make it work. That just doesn't happen. So always be learning, always be educating yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just jumping to conclusions before you reach that knowledge and that education is, I think, where a lot of people tend to be at fault. All right. Well, that was my 17-minute tangent of the day. Thanks, everyone, for watching or for listening. Again, this is going to be on YouTube now. I'm trying to branch out to YouTube. If not, it's always going to be on every single podcast station you've got. And so, yeah, as always, tune in every Saturday at 10, unless my power's out, then every Saturday at 10:15. And, at this point, you guys know the deal. Stay safe, stay healthy.